This is a translated lecture for Sheikh Hassan al-Balushi. You can find the original lecture in the comments. The voice is AI-generated voice. I seek refuge in Allah, the all-hearing, the all-knowing, from the accursed Satan. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of all worlds, and peace and blessings be upon our Master Muhammad and his pure and righteous family. The Commander of the Faithful, peace and blessings be upon him, says in his advice to Imam Hassan, I found you to be a part of me, but rather, I found you to be my entirety, such that if something were to harm you, it would harm me, and if death were to come to you, it would come to me. Your matter has preoccupied me as much as my own, so I have written this letter to you, relying on it, whether I remain with you or pass away. The Commander of the Faithful, peace and blessings be upon him, has spoken the truth. This segment of the words of the Commander of the Faithful, peace be upon him, comes after he spoke in a previous segment about the inevitability of death. He emphasized that death is a certainty from which no human being can escape, and thus one must be prepared for it. Among the preparations of the Commander of the Faithful for death is his conversation with his son, Imam Hassan, and his various pieces of advice. We can divide the discussion of this segment into three themes. First, we discuss the motivations that drive a person to care for others and educate them. Second, what should we do? Third, what is the most appropriate method for this? We begin with the first theme, which is the words of the Commander of the Faithful, peace be upon him, about the motivations that encourage a person to care for others. Let us ask, what drives a person to care for the betterment and education of others and to enjoin good and forbid evil? It can be said that there are two main motivations. The first is the noble, missionary motivation, which may not be accessible to many people, and which we call the missionary motivation. It is a profound feeling of compassion and desire for the good of others, stemming from faith in Allah and love for His creation, and wishing for them to be close to Allah, the Exalted. This motivation was embodied in the character of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and his family, whom Allah described in the Quran as caring and merciful, as He says, perhaps you would kill yourself in grief over them if they do not believe in this message. And He describes the Prophet as being compassionate and merciful to the believers. The second motivation is the natural, familial motivation, for a person naturally loves their family, and the Quran came to reinforce this motivation. Why do we care more for our children and family than for others? Biologists and sociologists explain this connection as natural and biological, as a person instinctively tends to care for their relatives. But the Commander of the Faithful points to a deeper dimension, as he says, I found you to be a part of me, but rather, I found you to be my entirety. The Imam sees his son as an extension of himself, not merely biologically, but wholly, based on a profound relationship. Thus, our relationship with our children should not be selfish, and we should see them as ourselves in a different form. In this context, the natural motivation merges with the missionary one. Therefore, caring for our children must stem from sincere love, aiming to instill in them righteousness and piety. Now, we move on to the second theme. What should we do? The Commander of the Faithful says, your matter has preoccupied me as much as my own. This means that parents should care for their children just as they care for themselves. First, we must treat our children as we treat ourselves, and put ourselves in their place when dealing with them. Second, attention to our children must be serious, and life's distractions should not take us away from them, but we should dedicate time to them just as we do for ourselves. These are the lessons we derive from the words of the Commander of the Faithful. Then he says, so I have written this letter to you, relying on it. The letter serves as a means of lasting communication, stable and enduring through time, allowing the recipient to learn with calm and reflection. The important thing is not the quantity of teaching, but the quality of the method. A single piece of knowledge you understand is better than 70 you merely transmit. Thus, the teaching should be impactful and reliable even if the Imam is no longer present. These words illustrate the depth of the upbringing offered by the Commander of the Faithful, and peace be upon Muhammad and his pure and righteous family.